Alright guys, welcome back. So I went to locals on Saturday and I got first place. Not with Synchron, unfortunately. Because it sucks though, because it's bittersweet. Because like these past few months I've been trying to grind with Synchron. There's like a lot of top 8s, a lot of top 4s. But not quite first place. That's kind of like the it sucks, but like yeah, it is what it is. So I ended up taking Solid. And the way the meta has established itself, I felt like what Solid would be capable of would be sufficient enough to get it done. And the way the deck was constructed, it made sense, and I just ended up rolling with it. Okay, so let's just get straight into it. Okay, so Triple Buffalo, this is like the best normal summon the deck has, apart from Foxy's as well. Because these both have to have significance, whether it's by influencing the game state and prompting a response from your opponent, or being consistent enough to get you to a particular scenario where you can command the board, right? So for example, like this lets you filter into more hand traps, right? So that's already a consistency booster. This one I wanted Foxy to be the same in a way, essentially, except it would add the archetype interactions, which is the traps, right? So like, since in this build I'm maxing out the traps, you are more often than not, you're gonna be able to see one, like you're gonna see the Rage of the War. And then when Foxy comes into play, you activate Excavate. You're most likely, which is what was happening, I would always add the missing one. Like if I had Rage, I would add the Roar, and vice versa. And this is what I meant about being conservative. Like you don't have to expose yourself to the Nibiru. You can just go, okay, I'll just go relink the Belling, set both traps, pass with hand traps, or even if you have the other traps. Like that seemed to be sufficient enough, because right now the way the format is like everyone's running an abundance amount of hand traps. And like they're expecting to hit like other things like Gazelle or Stalio or Wolf add back, you know? But like if you already opened the traps, there's no real need to do that, you know? You just go, okay, that's fine. Relink the Bale, set both traps, pass. And they're stuck with like Imperm, Ash, Veiler, Bale. Like they're stuck with all these hand traps, Nibiru. They're stuck with those hand traps. And you just have a Relink the Bale. And most of the time they have like 3 or 4 hand traps in hand. And they have like 2 engine cards. Prankage is like a perfect example. They have like the adventure stuff, and they have the Prankage. Like that's like the way that the deck functions, and that's really popular in my logos. So I felt like, okay, well, I think this should be sufficient enough. It should be fine. Like I'm not gonna want to the hand traps. I stopped their 2 plays. I'll have the traps in rotation, and I'll just keep doing that over and over again. You know. And the more as the game progresses, it's gonna be really obscure for your opponent to interact with you, because they're gonna have now you have options to now you have the option to Stalio. You have the option to go Heat Leo. You know, like it makes it really it makes the game go in your favor, which is what I really liked. And then of course you have your triple spinny. It's just the fact that you have consistency to be able to do the Stalio play, and it's just really good. Just really, really good. And then of course you have your Wanas, which is Falco and Gazelle. Typically this has been seen more copies of it, but like I would play more as well in the past, but I just wanted to be consistent and just have utility, because like you don't always need it. Like it is useful for the grind game, because there's some times where like the game is so simplified that a Jaguar adding back your links and then being able to add back off Wolf is huge. But like I think one's enough. Just when you need it, it'll just be there, you know. There's 2 mining, there's 2 circle, there's the card itself. Yeah, it just seemed fine. And that's all the monsters. And then you have your hand traps, which is I wanted to follow one of these to follow suit in regards to consistency, because like sometimes like you would like draw off Buffalo, you draw multiples, and that's something I wanted to avoid. Like I want to avoid, like as it is, you're playing 3 Foxy, 3 Spinny, and like sometimes you don't draw on the Spinny because I already have a Spinny, or don't draw on the Foxy because I already have a Foxy. There was a lot of those like moments where you didn't want to draw that, and I didn't want to have the same thing with this, where I would have an Ash like, oh, don't draw another Ash. You know, like, it was just like a nightmare. But most time it didn't happen. Like, oh, this is nice. I like how this feels. It just gave the deck versatility, which is what I really liked. So it was like this is my lineup. Three Nibiru, three Nibiru, two Nibiru, two Ash, two Bell, two Draw. Because these are all good versus the adventure stuff. Like you can stop the Griffin Search. I mean, you can stop the Enchantress if you want to, but it's kind of weird because like if they already have right, it's same thing with this one. You Bell Enchantress, but then once again, if they have right, it's and then this one stops both because if they go Enchantress, they can't resolve the searches, which is really nice. Because that's one of the things that Solid faces is like when they have the adventure stuff, they can just bounce your link and force like it forces you to use your roar when you don't want to. And this is what these are meant to do. It's meant to stop that scenario from happening. And it seemed to work quite well because it did just that. Like it was okay, well yeah, it's draw everything. It's just really nice. It's Flunder. It's amazing as well because Flunder's kind of an issue. Like cause they have Bear statue and they have Shifter. If they Shifter you and you can't use this, oh well, I guess, man, I guess. But yeah, it's mainly just to cover the Brave stuff because the balance is quite brutal, like But yeah, then you have your Pot of Desires. You have your one ofs, right? I've been going back and forth on This is not one anymore. I was going back and forth on playing more than one will. But one seemed enough. Once again, I didn't want to like have will and draw into the will. Like just didn't want to be in a situation like one will. If it sticks, right? And you don't necessarily need it to win. It's more so just a versatility card. It's a utility card, and I treated it as such. Then of course you have your 2 circle, your 2 mining, and of course your two droplet. 2 circle is amazing. Like it lets you do that play where you can make your guy immune to monster effects like Nibiru, which is huge. I like that. And just being able to just open this, like there were so many times where I didn't use this to search Gazelle. I would just go Buffalo, discard, and just play off of the wolf add back because I would open up the traps. So then they'll be like, okay, they're trying to Nibiru you, but you already have the traps. So you don't need to get to Gazelle because that's basically what Gazelle was meant to be doing. Get you the traps, but you open the traps, so you don't need to do that. So you save this for the Nibiru. They go, okay, set 2, pass, end main phase 1, Nibiru, activate. And then you save your wolf and you have your traps. Like it's just so cool. Like it's just that scenario is coming up a lot. And then this one, I like mining in this particular build because it makes you discarding the traps. It doesn't seem Ash it doesn't make Ash as impactful because typically you would discard like a generic card, so you would feel it more like oh damn, that Ash sucks. But like the fact that you can discard the traps and recur them is insane. Because like something that was happening a lot was, let's say I discard a trap, they Ash you have Spinny or Foxy, it doesn't matter who. You relink, you make a wolf add the trap back. It was just insane. Like, it's just so crazy. And then with Foxy, you'd go relink to Foxy, don't use effect. Discard the trap, so you have both traps engrave. Bring back Foxy, make wolf, add back both traps. Reset the roar, add the rage. Like, it was so cool. Like, the fact that you had that as an option was always really, it was niche, but like, it was just really good. Like, it kept coming up. And I was like, I decided maybe maxing on mining. But once again, going back to, I didn't want to have multiples. Because as the days I was drawing multiple Sonic minings, I was like, if I was playing 3 of these, man, that would be drawing this way more often. And of course, you have, like I mentioned before, you're playing max out the traps because this lets you play conservative. You don't have to play into the Nibiru because most of the time when you play into the Nibiru, it's because you're trying to do the Gazelle play and then you're trying to make a wolf to add back the traps. But if you can bypass that and be conservative, because seeing how the format is, they just have a bunch of hand traps. So you can just like relink the Bale, set 2. They're gonna have like all hand traps and like 1 or 2 engine cards. You just stop that with these. Like it just seemed to make sense. And then post game 1, when you know you're going second, you can just side 2 of these, 4 of these out, right? And just keep these in. Like it seemed quite obvious, and it seemed to work quite well. Then of course you have your double strike, double torrent tribute, and double rivalry. This was interesting, to say the least. It seemed well. It's mainly good against prank kids because once again, there's a lot of prank kids in my logos. Yeah, I mean, I drew it against Flunder and I wish it was something else. So I guess you can cut these two, put like the third of each card, third torrential, third strike. I don't And then of course you have your side deck, which is double barrier. This might go to 3 because of Despia. You can even swap these for this. Like you know, you can just interchange those. It seemed like it should work. Triple evenly because evenly just good. Just like evenly. Just generically good card when you go second. You know, especially paired with the droplet. It's huge. And then reboot, of course. And then of course you have your triple cosmic when you go second versus Scythe, because Scythe is quite annoying. And then of course you have your the third droplet, the third draw, the third bell, the third ash, and the third. So when you know you're going first, you just put in your hand trap. I mean, when you know you're going second, you put in your hand traps. But it's just that like the fact that you have the possibility to go first, I would rather have the traps than these, because these are good and all, but like they're not as high impact. So depending on the situation, of course. But like I would prefer the traps. But then again, once you're guaranteed to go second, you have the option to put these in, which is what I liked. And it seemed quite self-explanatory. Hopefully it makes sense. And then of course you have your extra deck. You have your access code, you have your transcode dugger, you have your update jammer, splash mage. You have your I missed game on this because I had game versus my god against the Flounder. Who was it against? I can't remember who it was against. I remember, but the effect of the burn, I came up, I didn't do it. Oh, this is where it gets kind of funky. Okay, so Pyro Phoenix, right? So basically, the way I was approaching this lineup was these can go either or. This can be a primary, this can be secondary, or vice versa. So when you do this, they're gonna want to Nibiru because they want to keep their back row or stuff, right? So you all you need is one card to climb into this, right? You bypass this because you need 2, level 4 slivers. So you bypass it by going 1, 2, 3, right? That's how you bypass it. Then try to pop the Nibiru. Okay, it's fine. And then that's where you had this. Then that's where this guy comes in. And they don't expect it because they're like, oh crap, do you play that guy too? That's wild. And that was the surprise factor of this card, basically. Like it's just the utility. The fact that you can have this as an option is insane. Like it's just crazy. Then of course Heat Leo. In the past, I was not playing this, but I felt like I wanted to follow suit with the rest of the theme, right? Just pure solid. And then of course you have your triple wolves. This is self-explanatory. Triple Balinks, and then of course a Stelio. Of course, like you can like swap these out for like generic stuff like Dweller, like other cards you can. But I just felt like the way I envisioned the style of the deck, it just seemed to fit in perfectly. But yeah, there's 5 runs of Swiss top 8. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, the deck were fine. Yeah, that's gonna be it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let's subscribe if you haven't, and thanks for watching.